Welcome everyone. I am so excited because today we are going to be talking about how to introduce your kids to the concept of money and teaching them good money habits because that's something that's really important from a very early age. And we've talked about it already a little bit with Brittany Young. If you haven't listened to that podcast or that Live with Cami episode, make sure you go back and listen to that one. But we are here with Sandi Reynolds today, who actually has a little bit of a different experience. And so I wanted her to share that with you because whereas Brittany was talking about entrepreneurship and teaching money that way and being an entrepreneur, Sandi has a different perspective coming from the financial industry herself. And so I really want to be able to share her perspective with you so that it's good to have lots of different perspectives, right? It's so awesome. You guys, this is super exciting. If you're watching us live in our Facebook group or YouTube, welcome. And if you are listening to this on our podcast, Homeschool Success with Cami Wanis, welcome as well. I am so excited. This is a lot of great information, and we are going to give you links to resources that you can get to right now, and you can go get started right away with your family. It's super exciting. So, definitely teaching kids about money early is something that's just an idea, something that's always in their minds. So you're creating a culture of good financial habits. It's so easy for us, even my 15-year-old who is in a household where we talk about that a lot and talk about finances and decisions. He still had a gift card from Christmas and he went over into, he went to Target with, my husband, and he was like, "Oh, well, I have this and I let me find something." And it's like we were teaching him, you don't have to spend just because you have it right now doesn't mean you have to go find something in the store, right? So that's how it's still in there. It's like I don't even it's like part of our DNA or something, that concept of just spend it now sort of thing. So I am super excited because Sandi's gonna be here to talk about this, lots of different perspectives from a financial industry point of view. She really helped a lot of people with their finances. And so Sandi has been in the financial industry for over 2 decades and she's retired now, so she gets to really dig into her passion, and her passion is definitely about helping kids. So I want you to hear from Sandi. And Sandi, what is your background in the financial industry, and how did you get to really be interested in helping parents teach their kids about finances?
Well, Cami, I worked in the industry, like you say, for over 20 years. So from being in the industry, I realized how important financial education really is to their children. So once I retired, I said, gee, I have some knowledge, I have some experience. I realize the importance. So I found this site with Teachers Pay Teachers, and that's how I got my start. So I decided to make some lessons, mini money lessons for the students. And I have 8 grandchildren. So 4 are young. So I had a good set of kids to practice on.
Oh, I think we lost your audio for a second there. Oh, but I think we're good. Okay. So that's amazing. I'm super excited about that. So please just let me know. And I know 8 grandkids. That's so awesome. I mean, you have a lot of you have a lot of teaching to do, right?
Sure do.
I love that. That's what grandparents are for, man. I love it. That's amazing. Super awesome. Very cool. Okay, so just if we're a parent and we have littles and we're just getting started and they don't really even understand anything about money, like how do we get started? Like, well, first, when is it a good time? Like, I mean, when is a good age to really like start thinking about the concept of money?
You know what? You can start as soon as possible. Play little games, talk about different things. Even a toddler knows they want to buy a toy. It costs money. So, and when they're young, they are interested in the different coins, the different bills. Although they don't understand the concept, they still have an interest in it. So, playing little games by giving out the coins and giving out the dollar bills and teaching them the value, that really helps. So, at any age, start as early as possible. look for learning opportunities. And this way you can start explaining money slowly, as as early as I can understand.
Yeah, you know what I love is that it's so interesting that kids really can pick it up so early. They really do. They see you with the money, they see you buying things, they go to the grocery store with you, and they see this concept of exchanging goods for something, right? And even though they don't see the actual cash sometimes, because a lot of us don't use cash anymore, that it's something that they're still seeing an exchange happening. And so I feel like that can be really difficult. Do you feel like there's a difference that maybe using cash more often, maybe when they're little, to get that concept going is a good idea versus swiping the card? Because I feel like that might be difficult to get the concept of there's something exchange happening. Do you feel like that?
Absolutely. You still have to have the foundation. With the coins, they have a visual where they can see 4 quarters equal a dollar, and the nickels, how much equals a quarter. So you need that basic foundation. And then as they get older, they realize there's debit cards, there's credit cards, there's all different ways to pay. You can pay on your phone. And so, unless you have that basic foundation, um, it gets a little harder as they become, maybe 9, 10, 11. And then they get it though.
Yeah,
So,
definitely they get it. And I really feel, we all had that play money, right? The play coins and things like that. And then we also have those cash registers where you can the play cash registers and things, which, like, I mean, we still have cash registers, but it's almost like they're not used so much anymore. And so it's really interesting to be able to get your kids around playing with just how things are. There's a lot of how things are being exchanged physically. I know there's a lot of board games like that too, that where you can exchange things. They have Monopoly Junior. That's a great game, right? For
yes,
really
yes.
exchanging money. Are there any other like tools that you know of that are really great for like play things or just playing around with it?
You know what? When the kids are young, they do learn better by visuals. So, and some of the resources that I have, there's play money. You can cut it out with the child. You can make a pretend store. You can have like a little lemonade stand, or if you have a little kitchenette, you can play and introduce money that way also. So
I
it,
think
it does
great
help.
idea.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I think that's a great idea. I love that. And with the kitchen and the little, like, getting your groceries or whatever, the little play, shopping basket or something that's super cute. They can, and it doesn't even have to have play food or something. I mean, they can go around and get a little bag and shop for their own toys, right? Or shop for things that they find around the house or whatever. You could even
Yes.
do it outside. You could do it outside, like shop for little rocks or something like that, or they'll pick it up and you could buy it from them. I don't know.
And you
That's
know what? It's true. As a parent, you look for opportunities to introduce money. And you do it very casually. You do it as in a conversation. You don't want to make it stressful. You don't want to make it, uncomfortable for the kids. So, for example, one of my granddaughters, she plays softball. So her sister's a little younger. When they go to the softball game, they like to buy snacks at the stand, at the concession stand. So I was going over money with Charlotte, who was young, and I was teaching her, how many we were on the table, and I had all these coins, and this amount of nickels make a quarter, and these quarters make a dollar, and she was having fun, and she was actually adding up everything, and she was asking me some really good questions. I was surprised. So at the end of our little fun game, I said, Charlotte, we're going to take all these coins and put them in a baggie, and you can have them. And the next time you go to the concession stand, you can buy something. And she looks at me and she goes, Grammy, are they going to take these coins? I thought you need dollar bills. So I said, no, Charlotte, coins are money also. So little kids, you don't know how they think. And she's thinking, oh, when I go to the concession stand, my parents give me $1. So she's thinking, I need dollars and not realizing coins are money. So it's
Oh
cute.
my
You just look
gosh.
for little opportunities to teach them.
That is such a cute story. I absolutely love that because it is how kids' brains think, right? It's like, I didn't even know that. Like, that's a good example with the cards, too, right? You just think it's a card. Well, we're just not doing anything with it. So it's just a card. You just need one of those cards. You can get as many groceries as you want, you know? And so it's really, I love that idea. And definitely remember that this is, like Sandy said, this is teaching math. It's teaching math. You're teaching addition, you're teaching subtraction, you're teaching different forms. You're also teaching decimals and fractions as well, because you're teaching what's half of a dollar, right? That's 50 cents. And that a quarter, when you see, like for my son, when he was little, he would say, I would say, what's half of a dollar? And he'd be like, I don't even know. And I'm like, what's two? But he knew. I'm so, well, how much is 2 quarters? Or how many quarters make a dollar? And he goes, 4. And I said, well, how many are half of those? And he go, oh, 2 quarters. I'm like, well, how much are 2 quarters? And he go,
That's
oh,
great.
50 cents. Like he knew the coins, but the like half a dollar. I don't know. That's a tough one. But that interchange between seeing the groups of things is really cool.
It is, and you know what? They do remember. And like 3 or 4 months after we played that little game, we were in the car, and Charlotte says to me, Graham, I still remember 4 quarters equal $1. And I'm like, I can't believe you remembered that. And she did. So it's
She was
interesting.
having fun
He was having fun,
and
and
she
that's what
wanted a
happens. They
snack.
learn, right? They learn when they're having fun.
And when snacks are involved, right?
Sure.
Yeah. That's awesome. I love that. And definitely, I feel like as they get older a little bit, early age, they can start playing around with the concept, right? But as they get older, they can start understanding really that the value of money. And so I want to know how you, and this is me going off just on a tangent a little bit, but how do you think you explain the concept of the exchange, like where what the money represents?
So, for example, when they get a little bit older, well, I'll use this as an example. My other granddaughter, she loved to make little rubber band bracelets. So she made a lot of bracelets, and she said to her mom, I want to go sell my bracelets. So now she's thinking, okay, I can make something and I can sell it, and now I'm going to get money, right? So this was years ago, right, when she was like maybe 10 or 11. So she went to her neighbors and said, "Would you like to buy a bracelet?" And they were like, "No, no, thanks, I'm not interested." So then she said, She changed her strategy, and the next neighbor she said, "I'm selling bracelets for charity." And she sold them all. And she came home. And my daughter said, "I can't believe you sold all those bracelets. What did you do?" And she told her. And she said, "Oh, Rachel, you know what we're going to do? Another money opportunity. You told people you're doing it for charity. So we're going to take the money you made and bring it down to the senior citizens home and donate the money for charity." So kids surprise you. They come up with different ideas, the cutest things, and then the parents look for opportunities to introduce money. So as they get older, they learn, okay, if I make something, I'm going to get money. So
I love
as
that your
time
daughter
goes
did
on,
that. I love that she did the, like, hey, you said it's going to be charity. So now we have to give it to charity. I love that. That's really about follow through and commitment and being your word. I really love that. And having good character. And one of the things we talk about that I love that your daughter or your granddaughter learned is that exchange of, something that you made, that entrepreneurial spirit, something that she made can be a way for her to make money and that whole thing. And for my son, I know we he has that all the time. I mean, always ideas on stuff he could be doing to make money. And then also but it was also difficult for him, I remember when he was little, to make the connection between the money that we spent and the money that, like, what that represented. And so we always shared with him that the money that daddy earns is an exchange for, or that anybody earns really, is an exchange of time, of something. It's an exchange of time. So, like, whether it be making bracelets, time making bracelets, or for my son when he painted birdhouses for charity, it was the painting of the birdhouses and the selling and all that, and the shipping and everything. But it's the time, whether it be in a business or a job or whatever, it's an exchange of time. So you get money for, and providing a service to people, right? Providing some kind of a service.
Right. And that's what they learn. You work to get money to buy things you want. So you also need to teach them that there are important things that are non-material as well, correct? But money is part of it. So yes, and I
Yeah.
think they do understand because they realize I want to save my money for this particular toy. So, and then as a parent, you say, okay, well, how am I going to get the money? They have birthdays, they have Christmases, they can save some of their money. You teach them to save, you teach them to spend, you teach them to share with a brother or sister. Maybe you're going out and you say, you know, you want to use your money and buy an Italian ice or an ice cream. And this way they're getting the combination of everything. And
I
then I
love
think the
that.
older they get, they realize, I have money, so now I can share it with my friends. If we're going to the mall, maybe I can buy lunch for somebody. So it's a combination of everything. It's, sharing, it's saving, and it's spending. It's a
Yeah,
combination of
we
all.
have. Yeah, that's a good point, and I love that you bring that up because I wanna make sure that we talk about habits and teaching good habits, and that's one of the things that we're talking about. And so, how do you feel like, so once they have the concept of money, how do we teach them the habits, the good habits, the financial skills, the financial education that says we need to save, we need to, gift, we need to, whatever. And we have spending money, we have saving money, we have all that. How do we, because I know you have such a great background in this area and teaching adults, right? But how do we teach that to kids?
Well, with the kids, with teaching the kids, you want them to go ahead and make a little bit of mistakes, right? Because the mistakes they make are going to be little. So it's better to make the mistakes when they're little than when they're older because they're going to be bigger mistakes. So giving the children choices for a birthday maybe or something, and you say, okay, as a birthday present we're going to go to the toy store and you could pick out something. Here's your money, you have X amount of dollars, and then let the kids figure out, okay, I want this in my cart, I want that. And that's what I do with my grandkids. On their birthday I take them shopping. So Matthew, who just turned 7, we took him to Walmart, to the toy store, and he had like all these things in his cart. So I'm just letting him pick them out. So I'm going, okay, Matthew, this is how much money you have to spend, pick and choose. So he's like, well, I don't really want this one. He would take it out of the cart, right? And then we came to a happy agreement. He was so happy. And then my husband and I took him out to lunch for his birthday. He had his new toys and he was so happy. And he said, Graham, can we do this again next year? So he's learning money. He's learning that you can't buy everything. And then I have some teenage grandchildren and we do the same thing, but we go to the mall. So it's like, okay, what do you want to buy at the mall? But you try to make it fun. You try to make it a pleasant experience. So this way they are learning. You have a budget, how to budget. You can't have everything you want. So you have to start somewhere. So start young, let them make the mistakes, let them see it as you go along. And hopefully they get a secure financial idea. So as they get older, they can build a secure financial future.
Yeah, I love that, and that's so cute. I can totally see him just like, "I want this, and I want that, and I want this," and then, like, hold the phone," right? And it reminds me of my son going around with his gift card, like, "Okay, it's $25. Well, gosh, I don't know. There's not really that much that, I guess I could get this for $25," and he picks up something, and he's like, "But that's," but he doesn't really want it, and my husband's like, "Do you really even want that?" Like, he's like, "Well, no, not really." But, that's something he just feels like, and we're like, "Look, you don't have to," and you don't have to spend it right now. You also don't need to also priorities, thinking about priorities. Is this something that you would play with? Is this something that you need? Is this something like needs versus wants, right? I want to have this, but is it really practical for me to have this right now? I know my son was really into this new hobby, and I flat out told him, I'm like, "We're not, this is an expensive hobby." I'm like, "We're not paying for this. Like, if you want to do this hobby, you're a teenager, you can get some money and do it yourself." And this is, we're already doing all these other things. And he was like, "Okay." And so he's really weighing like side to side, like, I don't know. And then for his birthday, he wanted like, one of the tools, one of the equipment for it. And I was like, "Okay, I get that it's cool. However, would it make more sense to have a ticket to go do the experience instead of getting the like one of the equipments that you could just rent there anyways, when we're not going to be going that often, we're not going to be, just this." And he's like, because he really wants it, but then it's this interesting mental thing that we all go through.
Absolutely. And that's teaching them how to make good decisions, because good decisions keep you happy and on the right path. It's the bad decisions that give you consequences that maybe you didn't really want. So that's, and that's great. You teach them young the pros, the cons, and let them decide. And if they pick the wrong thing when they're young, it's, you know, they learn from it. And it's not that big of a mistake. But yes, and you can also say, I understand you want this, this, and this. So you have X amount of money. You don't have to spend it. You can save it. And the next
Right.
time you can maybe get the same amount and save it for something you really want. Don't just buy something because you have the money in your hand. Buy it
Yep.
because you really want it or you need it. And if you have a goal to save for, then save your money and spend it then.
Yeah, we've also taught my son he knows about delayed gratification. He knows about like setting a goal to get something and, like all these things. So it's really, really great. And he also, one of the things we talk about a lot is like we talk about the idea of setting the example. So we, for I mean, we talk about it a lot in the Freedom Scholar, all the Freedom Scholar material we have, and everything that I do. We talk about being the example. And so, how does being an example, of that really impact your kids?
Tremendously. It's so good to talk about money. It's so good to, say what your family's going through. For example, say you want to go on vacation and you say, okay, this is where we have to go. We have to pay for the hotel. We have to buy food. I don't think kids realize what all goes into it. They just know, oh, we're going on vacation and we're going to have fun. But they have to realize it's just not that simple. It's something you have to save for. Even if they want to buy something in particular as they get older, that's when parents start thinking, do I give them allowance? What are the pros? What are the cons? How do I keep track of an allowance? So I think it's up to the parent to decide how they want to handle, but the more money conversations you have, the more financial information you can introduce to your to your child, the better off they are.
Yeah,
So
and you guys, we talked about the allowance thing a little bit with Brittany Young, so make sure that you check that out. But I definitely want to, before we go, I definitely want to talk about your resources and where we find your printables and everything like that. And then I have a really quick funny story before we do that because this is hilarious. So my son is an overuser of products. He like thinks, he uses twice as much shampoo as he thinks he needs, like I'm like, buddy, why don't you just use half of what you think you need and then see if that's enough and then you can add more. Like the concept like never really it's all the time. I'm constantly it's toothpaste, it's lotion, it's shampoo, it's conditioner, it's everything. And so finally one day he comes in and he's like, "Oh, I, made a mess of my, whatever, because he, or his face toner, because he, like, he's like, I'm like, you should be using enough to have a mess. Like, that's not even like, that shit." And so I was so frustrated. I'm like, "Hey, you're buying the next toner. Like, you're buying the next bottle." And he was really upset, but he was like, "Okay, I get it." And so he just ran out. So they just got it yesterday, and he literally he had a real awakening because it's not cheap, and and we don't get like cheap stuff. And so he's like, wow, I didn't like even realize how much that was. And so he came back and my husband was like, that was a big lesson for him. And he came in, he is taking a shower and that last night, and he said, "Oh," he says, "I just use like way less shampoo than I normally use, and it's totally enough." He's like, "That toner lesson really taught me a lesson, Mom." And I was like, "That's right, buddy."
It is true. Once they start saving their money, they realize, oh, do I have to use my money when I go shopping, or are you going to buy this for me? Because now they realize they don't really want to spend their money because it took a while to save that up. So,
Exactly, yeah. And he was like, "Man, I didn't wanna pay for that again." So, yeah, it's
so
so funny. I love it, but it transfers over, so it's really great. So, Sandy, thank you so much for joining us today. How can we find your resources? You have tons of printables, and how can we what are your printables? What do you have right now? And I know you're adding more all the time, so make sure you always check back to Money Monster Kids and her, shop on, Teachers Pay Teachers. But what do you have right now, and, like, where can we find you?
okay, right now I have resources like explaining money with some worksheets and activities. I have introducing money. I have identifying coins, identifying bills, making change, an allowance, and I also have one that you plan a party. So starting from writing out an invitation, and then you can like decorate the cake. You could pick out decorations, and each one has a little price on it. And this way it helps you stay within your budget. So I try to do little fun games. So there is a mini money lesson to it, but it's still about money management. And
I love that.
For Thanksgiving, I made a little activity where um, a little girl goes shopping with her mom for Thanksgiving dinner, and they go to the farmer's market, then they go to the grocery store, and how they stay within budget. And then Thanksgiving Day, they had their meal. And the importance of memories and family all tie into one, because it's just,
Oh,
I mean,
yeah.
you want to make sure it's just not all about the money. It's what you could do with the money, the options it gives you, and to be comfortable and to live a kind of a more stress-free life. So,
Absolutely. I love that. Oh my gosh, that sounds like such a cute activity. And you do have a free activity that we will link down below as well in the comments, the show notes, and on YouTube in the description. So make sure that you check that out because it's a free activity, which is really fun. And make sure you check back more often. For Sandy is always creating new things, and not just for little. She's also creating stuff for all kinds of other kids in the future too. So thank you for joining us today, Sandy. Thank you for investing in us. And I know we had tons of fun, and hopefully lots of mamas are going to be, and dads too, are going to be super excited about all this information and where to reach you. So thanks again.
okay, thank you, Cami. Have a wonderful day.
Bye-bye.
Bye.